I still don't think it's real. Like, I'm literally sitting in my car right now, staring at my phone, waiting for it to change back to zero. But it doesn't. It just stays there. $10 million. Let me rewind. Because a few hours ago, I was just a broke dude grabbing a lottery ticket like I always do when I'm feeling down. Not because I believe in it, just habit, coping mechanism, whatever you want to call it. I scratched it in the gas station parking lot, didn't even think much of it at first. 3 numbers matched, then 4, then the barcode thing started glitching on the machine inside. The cashier literally looked at me and said, can you step outside for a second? And I was like, bro, what did I just win? She didn't even answer, just called her manager. And then he came out, looked at my ticket, looked at the screen, looked at me, and said the words that basically broke my brain. You need to come inside. That's when I knew this wasn't normal. Because nobody says that unless something crazy just happened. I walked in like my legs weren't mine. People in line staring at me like something's up. The manager locks the door behind us, and then he says it again, slower this time. You won. A lot. I'm like, how much is a lot? He turns the screen toward me, and I swear my brain just stopped working for a second because the number didn't make sense at all. I remember laughing nervously like, yeah, okay, that's a joke, right? But nobody laughed, and that's when it hit me. This wasn't just good luck. This was life-changing. But even in that moment, I wasn't thinking about money. I was thinking about something else, because the first thing that popped into my head was, if this is real, I can finally build something of my own. And I had no idea. That thought was about to change everything.
The drive home felt unreal, like I was watching someone else live my life. My hands kept checking the phone every 5 seconds, even though nothing was going to change in 5 seconds. But I couldn't help it, because people don't just randomly become rich like this, right? That's what I kept telling myself. Maybe the machine messed up. Maybe it's delayed. Maybe they're going to call me back and say, sorry, bro, glitch. But then I opened the official lottery app, and it was still there. Claim status, pending confirmation. I just stared at it like, nah, this is actually happening. When I got home, I didn't even sit down. I just paced around my apartment like a maniac, because suddenly my brain started doing something dangerous. Not what should I buy, not what should I do first, but what if I don't waste this? Because I wasn't trying to just get rich and flex. I'd been broke long enough to know money disappears fast if you don't respect it. So I started thinking differently. I grabbed a notebook, old school, and wrote one thing at the top. Do not spend this like an idiot. Then underneath, build something real, no fast hype spending, no lifestyle upgrade first, invest in income. And that's when it hit me. If I do this right, I don't just become rich, I build a way to stay rich. But I still had a problem. I didn't have a thing yet. No business, no brand, no system, just ideas, and a lot of time I never had before. So I made a decision. If this money was real, I wasn't going to touch it like a winner. I was going to treat it like fuel and build something that actually lasts. I just didn't know yet that the hardest part wasn't getting the money. It was deciding what kind of person I would become with it.
The confirmation came the next morning. I was still half asleep when my phone buzzed like crazy. Not one notification, like 10, then 20. Then my banking app just froze for a second. And when it loaded back in, yeah, it was real. I just sat on the edge of my bed staring at it, like, holy shit. No celebration, no screaming, nothing like that. Just silence. Because once it's real, it doesn't feel like winning anymore. It feels like responsibility. I went straight into planning mode, not shopping mode, planning. I opened my notes again and started breaking things down like I used to when I had nothing. Step 1, don't lose control. Step 2, don't tell everyone. Step 3, Don't change who you are overnight. Easy to write, hard to follow. Because within a few hours, my phone started blowing up. Old friends, random numbers, people I haven't spoken to in years. Suddenly, everybody cares how I'm doing. Funny how that works. But I ignored most of it. I had something else on my mind. That idea from yesterday kept coming back. Build something real. And now I actually had the fuel to do it. So I started thinking about what I know. I don't have a business, but I do understand attention. I understand content. I understand what makes people stop scrolling. And that's when it clicked. I didn't need to buy something flashy. I needed to build something people actually pay attention to, something I control, something scalable, something that doesn't depend on luck anymore. I wrote one line in my notes, turn attention into income. And for the first time since winning, I felt calm. Because now it wasn't just money, it was a mission. But I still didn't realize that the real pressure doesn't come from having money. It comes from trying not to lose what you build with it.
I didn't waste time after that, like at all. Within 48 hours, I was already looking at locations. Not mansions, not cars, not any of that dumb stuff people think happens when you win big. I was looking at empty spaces, small storefronts, cheap leases, places nobody cared about. Because in my head, I kept thinking, if I'm going to build something, I need a starting point. And weirdly, I wasn't scared anymore. I was focused. I found this one spot downtown. Nothing special. Old building, slightly dead street, paint peeling off the sign outside. But inside, open space. Perfect for building something from scratch. When I walked in, the real estate guy tried to sell me on it like it was nothing. Could be a cafe, studio, office, whatever you want. And I just nodded like, yeah, I know what I want. Because by then, the idea had fully formed in my head. I wasn't going to build something random. I was going to build a media business. Content, production, growth. Something I actually understand. Something that scales. Something that turns attention into money without depending on luck again. I put down the deposit that same day, no hesitation. And the moment I signed the papers, I felt something shift. Like my life just stopped being what if and became now what. But here's the thing nobody tells you. Starting is easy when you have money. Execution is where it gets messy. Because now I needed people, equipment, a system. And I had no idea if I was actually good enough to make this work at scale. That night, I sat alone in the empty space. No furniture, just echo. And I remember thinking, if I'm going to build something massive here, or I burn through everything I just won. And for the first time since the lottery, I realized this wasn't a win. It was a countdown.
The next week turned into a blur. I stopped sleeping properly. Not because I was stressed about money anymore, but because I was trying to move too fast in a world I'd just stepped into. Every day was something new. Hiring people, buying equipment, setting up internet, cameras, desks, stuff I used to only think about while watching YouTube breakdowns at 2 a.m. Now I was actually doing it. And it felt powerful at first, like really powerful. I'd walk into that empty space in the morning and imagine what it could become. A studio, a team, a system, something real. But reality hits different when you're the one responsible for everything. The first problem showed up faster than I expected. Hiring. I thought people would just show up, ready to build something. But most people were just there for a paycheck. Not vision, not growth, not build something big, just money. And I get it now, but back then it frustrated me. I remember sitting in interviews thinking, why does nobody care about building something from scratch? Then it hit me. They weren't supposed to care. It was my obsession, not theirs. That was the first lesson, and it kind of stung, because I realized I couldn't just throw money at people and expect them to care like I did. I had to lead, actually lead, not just fund. So I started doing it myself, setting direction, testing content ideas, recording rough videos just to see what worked. Some of it flopped hard, like embarrassingly hard. One video got barely any views after I spent hours on it, and I just sat there like, so I'm not special. Cool. But weirdly, I didn't quit. I just adjusted because I had something I never had before, room to fail. And that changes everything. Still, at the end of each day, when everyone left and the studio went quiet, I'd sit there alone and think, this is either going to become something huge or I'm going to run out of time before I figure it out. And the worst part, I still couldn't tell which one it was going to be.
By the third week, things started to feel real. Not in a glamorous way, more like pressure building up slowly, like I had too many plates spinning at once and I couldn't afford to drop any of them. The money from the lottery was still there, but it didn't feel like infinite anymore. It felt like a timer I could actually see now. Every bad decision, every wasted day, every wrong hire, it all had a price tag attached to it. And I started noticing something that made me uncomfortable. The more I tried to build something big, the more complicated everything became. More people meant more problems. More content meant more failures. More ambition meant less certainty. At one point, I was sitting in the studio at night going through analytics, and I just paused because I realized I wasn't enjoying anything anymore. I wasn't broke struggling anymore, but I also wasn't free. I was somewhere in between. And that in-between space, it's weird because you don't feel hunger pushing you forward anymore, but you also don't feel stability holding you up. One of my editors came up to me that night and said, "Yo, we need to pick a lane. We're trying too many things at once." And he was right. We had ideas everywhere, different formats, different styles, different audiences, but nothing fully locked in. And that's when I made a decision that felt risky. I told the team, from now on, we stop guessing. We double down on what performs. Some people liked it, some didn't, but I didn't care anymore because I was starting to understand something important. Having money doesn't mean you know what you're doing. It just means your mistakes are more expensive. That night, after everyone left again, I stayed alone in the studio. Lights off, computer glow in front of me, and I asked myself a question I had been avoiding for weeks. If this money disappeared tomorrow, would I still know how to build something like this? And I didn't answer right away, because the honest answer scared me a little. I stayed in that studio way longer than I should have. Lights off, empty room, just the hum of the computer and my own thoughts getting louder than anything else. Because that question didn't leave me alone. If the money disappeared tomorrow, would I still know how to build this? I kept trying to convince myself the answer was yes, but the longer I sat there, the more I realized something uncomfortable. The money didn't just give me resources, it gave me speed. It let me skip steps I never actually learned how to survive through, and now I was starting to feel those missing steps catch up. The next morning, one of our better performing videos suddenly dropped off, hard, like the algorithm just stopped pushing it. No warning, no reason, just gone. And I remember staring at the analytics like, so it's not stable either. That hit different because I had built my confidence on momentum, on this is working right now. But right now can change, fast. So I called everyone in, and for the first time, I wasn't talking like someone excited to build something. I was talking like someone trying to make it last. I said, we need structure. Real structure, not just ideas. We started organizing everything properly. Content calendar, roles, clear goals, testing system. No more chaos decisions. No more chasing random trends. And slowly, things started to stabilize. Not explode, not fail, stabilize. And I started realizing something important. The real win wasn't the lottery. It wasn't the studio. It wasn't even the growth. It was learning how to turn chaos into something repeatable, a system, something that doesn't depend on luck twice. Months later, we weren't massive, not viral famous, but we were consistent, profitable, real. And one night, I stood in that same studio alone again. But this time, it didn't feel empty. It felt built.
And I finally understood something I didn't see back in that parking lot holding that winning ticket. Money didn't build this. I did. The money just gave me a head start. And if I ever lose it again, I won't be starting from zero, because now I know how to start.
Before you go, hit that like button and subscribe for more unbelievable stories just like this one. See you in the next story.